Victory screech! We have a winner! 2 wins in a row. Woo! Welcome to the PHOI Union podcast. I got Tyler Zulli, JP Zapata, myself, Renee Washington. I had to start us off on a high, happy note because the Philadelphia Union, for the second straight week in a row, have won an MLS game and a nice deciding 2-goal plus win. And also, with that, remain undefeated in MLS play. One of the few teams that are still left. I got to take a peek at the standings again. That are still left unbeaten across MLS play. Welcome in, guys. Nice to have you here. Hit that thumbs up button. Join the conversation. Jose, thank you so much. I appreciate the congratulations. It's been an exciting time. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a fun time, and not just because of my Hall of Fame news, but also more importantly, because not about me, the Philadelphia Union winning again. And honestly, guys, what has me the most thrilled about this win is it made me wonder, is this really the Philadelphia Union? You know, you like sometimes I feel like as you're looking throughout the course of a season, you make excuses, you justify things. And now I'm like, wait a minute, the beginning with them jumping so quickly into CONCACAF play and everything, maybe that's not the Union. Yeah. They were tired, heavier legs. You know, now we're seeing they're buzzing, they're moving, they're playing well. That's 2 weeks in a row that we've seen really good soccer. And also, I as we mentioned last week, JP, on our show, prior to the Portland game, we felt like the Portland game was a chance for the Union to turn a corner. Mm-hmm. And we wanted them to build off of that 3-1 win. And they did that and more, winning 2-0, getting a clean sheet. You know, even with Andre Blake's injury, get the clean sheet, get the win at home. Nice Saturday afternoon. And the magic number is 2. 2-0 win and a 2 o'clock start. And today we're talking at 2 o'clock to talk about it all going down.
You love play on words. I love that.
I know. I was thinking, I'm not going to lie. I was like typing in something and I was like, it hit me that there's a lot of 2s. So if anybody's one of those numbers people that's really big on numbers, 2 is the number of the day.
2. Matt Riel is the number of the day, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. You see?
You see?
I like it.
Listen, I think the big reason why we won, why the vibes were high, which led to the win, was because we had an afternoon match. It was beautiful, and I loved seeing the scenes from Subaru Park. Y'all were having a blast at the tailgate. The vibes in the stands were awesome as well. I think that really led to just the overall great vibes that the Union had. And look, listen, they got another win. 2 straight wins. They're one of the last remaining unbeaten teams. We have 2 other teams that are unbeaten right now. Mm-hmm. But this is the Union, and this is why, like, I know we've been hard on them early on the season, but the one thing we do know about the Union is that they will compete, and they will be down when it comes down to the wire. They will be one of those Eastern Conference teams that will be contending for the Eastern Conference title. Mm-hmm. And they showed you here today why that was. We had our 1A starting 11. We had obviously big pieces like Gazdag, Blake, and Bruchel were back. You had your back line of Wagner, Glezis, Elliott, and Harriel. Shouts to Nate Harriel as well, who came back with the Olympic team there. Your midfield, we'll talk about the switching from the diamond to the flat. But you had Jack and Bruchel, Quinn, Daniel Gazdag, and then Carranza. Ooh, that's your 1A. That's the lineup that you're going to run with most of the time, when everyone's healthy and ready to go. But this game, you saw the intensity of the Union, and when they play with that high intensity, you're going to get performances like this. I listen, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but Minnesota was missing 2 key pieces. Manuel Reynoso, we know he's down in Argentina getting his visa going so he can come back for Minnesota. And also Miguel Tapias was not in the lineup. He was battling an injury. So those are 2 key pieces for the unbeaten Minnesota side. But Minnesota found out playing in Subaru, and Eric Ramsey as well, playing in Subaru Park is not easy. And the Union really took hold of that home field advantage. I thought they played with the energy of the Sub on Saturday. But in general, that is Union Soccer. If
Correct.
you look up Union Soccer, you're gonna find with Saturday's match, they were flying high. The opportunities they had in the final third on Saturday as well were there, and then that's what led to it. You had Gazdag getting a goal, Carranza with a nice big one as well. We'll talk about Andre Blake too, but that if they play like that, they're going to be in the top 3 of the Eastern Conference for sure, and we just keep this ball rolling, Renee.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what makes it so great to see this part of the season. That's now the Union are. It's like they're getting their feet under them, So great to have you guys in here for our victory show. You missed my victory screech possibly at the beginning. Hopefully you didn't. Just kidding. It was not great. But we have Julian. What's up, Julian? We definitely need more day games. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Listen, it's something different about being able to wake up, play a game within a few hours versus having to wait all day. Yeah. I personally used to hate it because, depending on people's pregame routines, it almost is a waste of a day. And you just spend the entire day now thinking about the game versus getting up. If it's like a 2:00 start, you eat breakfast, you've got your pregame routines of, any sort of walkthroughs, you're in the locker room, you can just get right to business versus waiting. And then also the fact that the sun is still up helps a little bit. Something about night games makes it just feels different. It's great every once in a while, but you also need those like nice sunny, even though it was a little rainy this weekend, day games and not a monsoon. So I agree with you on that, Jillian. Definitely also, I know we were talking about the team of the week that was announced. We were discussing it right before the show.
Yeah.
We're going to get into the team of the week. I know Jose and Jillian are bringing that up. Barbara, thank you also for the congratulations. I appreciate your kind words as well. And listen, today we've got to recap not only the Union's win, we'll look around the league and take a look at the updated standings, some other results, and we'll also start to look. We don't look too much ahead. It's Monday. We're still going to bask in the win.
Absolutely.
But just look at the weekend as a whole and just the latest around MLS action. So as mentioned, we did get the team of the week. I know Tyler and I to get on JP because he loves himself some Freezy. That's what I would call him. But yeah, so most importantly, current Philadelphia Union player, because there are some others repping the squad on the match of the week. Jack Elliott did get some well-deserved honors being named to the match day group.
He was great.
Look, Jack had a fantastic performance. And as Jim Curtin was mentioning post-game, there were some plays that Jack had where he gets a touch on it, he redirects it, he disrupts the play just in time, and honestly keeps Minnesota from possibly getting in behind, creating a dangerous chance. The timing is great. The timing was there because the Union as a whole were defending so well that it just really allowed for Jack Elliott. It just simplified the game tremendously. But along with Elliott across this list, and I know most of these names actually, I'm not going to butcher too bad. But Gabriel Peck for LA Galaxy, because he got his first goal for LA Galaxy this weekend. And their 1-0 win over the Sounders. Then also you have Jordy Mihailovic, who got on the roster as well. You have your guy Matt Freese, Matus Klitsch. We also have Julio Cascante. We have Franco Escobar. This list here, Jake Davis on here. So overall, match day, Jack Elliott, most importantly, gets the nod. Much deserved. Glad to have him on that list and glad to have you guys here, Philly Insider Podcast. Renee,
what's going on?
Nice to have you here. So let's talk about the game, though. Let's talk about what led to Jack being on the match day group. Let's talk about the fact that the Union, as you mentioned, are one of the last standing undefeated teams. Let's just let that sink in. We have been hard on them, much as others have as well, because we have high expectations for the Union. That's what I like to call it. We have high expectations. The bar is high.
Sure.
We don't settle for just ties and going through the motions. But in reality, the Philadelphia Union are one of the last teams that are undefeated across the league. They have also done a tremendous job when you look bigger picture of, the results they've had, dealing with the early heavy schedule of CONCACAF matches, dealing with even the international break. To get a win in the midst of the international break is huge.
Yeah.
To have Andre Blake go down and you still win is huge. This team has dealt with some early adversity. They've overcome. And here you are now able to sit. They've climbed the rankings, thankfully, because they now have 2 wins on the MLS season. And sitting with 2 wins, 3 draws, they're right in the thick of things.
They are.
And a team that, if you asked me a week ago how I'd be feeling today, I wouldn't have expected this. I feel really good about. I can honestly say, I'm back to being positive, Patty, optimistic, Olivia, because I feel really good about this group now. I don't know if they're going to disrupt that and disappoint us, but for now, JP, I'm feeling good.
I guess don't ever underestimate an ass whooping because listen,
no.
that Pachuca ass whooping was honestly that was an historical one for the U.
That was.
To go down there and get smacked like that. And then I told you after that match, I expected them to show up against Austin and play a little pissed off, and which they didn't, but they found a way to climb back and get that point at the end of that match. And so that kind of leads into Portland and Minnesota. These last two matches are very, very similar because Portland won specifically. Not a lot of people had high hopes for because traveling to the West Coast, Portland looked solid this year. We weren't looking the best, but it was an extremely good win for the U. And so you take that momentum, you come back here into Minnesota, or come back in here into Philly to play Minnesota, and whoever was going to win that game was 50-50 essentially because Minnesota looked really good coming off a big win against LAFC. And the U just didn't care. They went out there and they played their game. They were extremely strong defensively, which made an easier game for Andre Blake. There was that one shot early on in the game, which I don't want to butcher his name, but Zhang for the right winger for Minnesota. Listen, that was a great opportunity. Terrible shot by him, but that was one of the early opportunities there for Minnesota. And even with Caden Clark, he's found himself a little home here. Like there was high expectations for Caden Clark early on his career with the Red Bull. He goes over to Europe, didn't pan out, comes back here in the MLS. He's looking much better for Minnesota. And then Timo Pukki, we talked about in the preview show. Timo, not the biggest guy, but Renee, that man has a knack of finding the net every time he touches the ball in that box. So the kudos to the Union first to just create that defensive presence of keeping them out. Minnesota's chances, they were slim, but they were definitely dangerous, and the Union's defense definitely did a great job. And then the attack. I mean, Ua and Gazdag, I thought they were solid. Obviously, Gazdag found the goal. Set pieces, that is the staple of Union soccer, finding ways to get chances off those. And that was just that first goal. That was just a ball that kind of found Gazdag, and Gazdag fought for that. And sometimes, listen, you don't need that pretty goal. You just need to find a way to have that ball find the net. And that was that goal for Gazdag. I thought Carranza's goal in the second half, great job by Ali. It just takes that one pass and that advanced Carranza and a great shot there. St. Clair really couldn't do much, but the Union got back to basics, Renee. I really thought that's what it was.
Yeah.
Play with high intensity. You saw them taking risks. That's part of the reason why Jack Elliott was named to the All-11 this week. He took some risks here. That's part of the Union soccer. Obviously, Andre Blake, I mean, listen, I thought that was more precautionary. I do get a little weary when I hear lightheadedness.
Yeah, and honestly, with head injuries now, they're going to err on the side of caution. For him to get hit, because it was a really rough collision in play. And there's no reason to force it. I'm fine with if he in that moment is, and you can tell right away typically how a player responds when they're dealing with a trainer. And if they have any sort of hesitancy, nope, you're done. If he had been like, no, I'm fine. And player to player, like who's going to be honest with you. And so I feel like for him to mention that he was feeling lightheaded, there's no need. You have plenty of time to rest now. And I know Jim was saying like they don't think it's anything serious. Hopefully it's not anything. Of course, as of this moment, we haven't officially heard anything come out of that. Just the fact that it doesn't seem serious, but does, of course, seem like some sort of concussion-like symptoms. But I do feel, as you mentioned, it's those R's that they've talked about. Restarts, red zone, rest. Yeah. Restarts, I always tell people, this is why I was getting annoyed when Jacob Glesnes kept giving people corner kicks. Because at this level, restarts are where you win and lose games. Because it's that moment where you fall asleep. It's that moment where you're getting caught flat. It's that moment where you're out of position or not marking that makes or breaks the game. Throw-ins, corner kicks, any sort of fouls. Like any stoppage of play is a time to capitalize. We've seen it on both sides, obviously, that you can try to catch your opponent, so focused on the play, so focused in arguing the call that you catch them and you score. And so I do love the fact that the Union have been able to consistently be that restart strong team. Great to see Daniel Gazdag get the goal. Just a beautiful played ball across by Kai. But then that second goal was just a thing of beauty in itself. The timing of the ball, the run, and I watched it way too many times than I'd like to admit. But I watched it over and over again because I was watching different players. And I will say, this is actually exactly what I've been wanting from the Union. The movement creates the goal. It's not just being more talented. Yes, Julian Carranza, one of the best forwards and strikers in the league. We'll get on that because his future here is it's making me a little more nervous about what offer he's going to be getting. But we're not there yet. Let's not talk about that yet. The run across, You look at the movement. It's Ali Bedoya. It's Julian Carranza. It's a run across. It's Julian Carranza kind of like spinning off, slipping off the back shoulder, just enough time that he stays on sides, but you're in behind. You get the positioning inside the defender, and now you're able to finish. Like, it's those little movements versus a lot of times the straight runs of what we've seen. So that's why I looked at this game as this is more indicative of what I feel like the Union should be.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the depth. You even saw like a Chris Donovan and different guys as they come onto the pitch. The level doesn't drop off. The intensity's there. The movement's there. They created wide spacing. Ali comes in the game. They go into more of a traditional flat 4-4-2. And as Jim was talking about after the game, it's because Quinn Sullivan, for example, has been able to go. He's playing on the front foot. He's taking players on 1v1. He's like that El Seno mentality of, I'm going to take someone on, because the Union haven't had that. It's been a lot of possession first. So I was like, okay, this is exactly what we've talked about, JP, of finally having the versatility, not even in tactics and formation, but in style of play. It can be a set piece goal, but it can also be a run of play goal. It can also be a goal or just opportunities in general, because I know there were other great chances. Even Quinn's, that was actually off a corner kick too. Top of the box, knuckleball, first time. There were so many great chances that were created because of spacing, movement, runs, combining up the field. How many times have we said that?
Every episode here. Now I want to first off with the depth piece, right? So that's the big reason why I love Matt Freese, because when Andre was out,
you love Matt Freese.
Matt Freese is
guys.
my boy.
He talks about Matt a lot more than
Matt,
just
I
on
miss
the
you.
show.
Come back to Philly. You don't like New York. No, congratulations on the All-11. He definitely deserves that. But the reason why I love Matt, he was young, but when Andre was out, I felt comfortable when Matt was in there.
Yeah.
And we have that luxury back. And I feel like that's why Jim was like, all right, Andre, come out. We got Zemla. Zemla, get out there. And having that luxury is so important. I know, like, listen, God bless Joe Bendick. Love you, dude. You're a great man.
Can you imagine if there was no Zemla and there was like Joe Bendick, for example?
Having a guy like Zemla is so important to have, especially we're going to talk further into the season. You're going to have Copa America, right? Jandre and Jamaica are going to be a part of that. So you're going to rely on Zemla, and Zemla's getting some valuable minutes here early on in the season. And as we move forward, we're going to have to rely a little bit more on him. But I mean, we talk about Jack Elliott being the man of the match, but I mean, Renee, it's so hard not to look at Quinn and his production.
So good.
The amount of times the attack went through that, and he wasn't scared. Like, the thing is, like, he wants that. He was taking on 2 defenders at once. Like, are you kidding me, Quinn? Like, that was freaking awesome to see. And the sky's just the limit. I will say this though, Quinn. Well, listen, I get it. You're feeling yourself, but some of those crosses, man, he was hitting them into the stance. So maybe let's work on that, or maybe take a little bit of chance. Maybe find the closer guy to you, the outlet pass, instead of going for that full cross in there. But no, having Quinn and that's stuff that Jim loves seeing, guys taking those risks and those chances and just taking the moment for himself. Quinn has been the best player for the Union thus far early on this season. Carranza's been scoring the goals. But I mean, Quinn has been consistent since match day 1. That Saprissa match.
Yeah, and honestly, consistency is key, and we love consistency. And you know where else you can find consistency? That's with Olipop, a new kind of soda that can consistently help your digestive system, your gut health is what we're talking about. That's right. And with Olipop, they are a type of soda that has 2 to 5 grams of sugar, 9 grams of fiber per can, and they are the world's first functional soda with a classic soda taste, but also providing the benefits of plant-based fiber, prebiotics, not probiotics, and other botanical ingredients to support your gut health. Now, over at Olipop, they wanted to make sure that you guys know that not only are they great for you in the fact that there are 2 out of 3 Americans dealing with digestive issues and 95% of Americans not getting the daily recommended amount of fiber. Check, Olipop can fix that. They also can provide you with great flavors because Olipop has tons of delicious flavors. The classic root beer, the strawberry vanilla, cream soda, cherry cola, grape, lots of options to choose from, classic root beer, whatever flavors you need. And then on top of that, Olipop is easy to find because they are available in over 30,000 retailers nationwide. Wawa, they just launched with Wawa. All of us that are fortunate enough to have a Wawa nearby, you also are fortunate to be able to buy Olipop from that Wawa. They're also in Target, Sprouts, Wegmans, ShopRite, GoPuff. And if you don't feel like going in person, you can shop for them online. You can shop on Amazon. You can shop on drinkolipop.com. And Olipop, great flavors, great look. I know they're in our refrigerator over here that's over JP's shoulder. That you'll be able to see in a moment. You can get healthy choices with the classic taste of soda. We all loved it, especially in the summertime. A nice, refresh. That's my can opening. The sound of that, the vibes of summer when you're getting to open a nice cold soda. And so now you also have a chance to save. Use the code PHOY20, get 20% off your next Olipop order. That discount does only apply to those one-time orders, not any subscription orders. And again, shop for Olipop anywhere online at drinkolipop.com, Amazon, those 30,000 retailers nationwide, Wawa, Sprouts, Target. And again, PHOY20 gets you 20% off your Olipop order.
I think Organo got me into the Olipop floats.
Oh, that's the other thing. You can make
Coca-Cola.
things from them. You can make it into a float. You can add it as a mixer. So yeah, there's tons of options of if you want to like spice things up a little bit, you can have some Olipop to do that.
Still be healthy and have fun with it.
Yeah.
You know what else you have fun with too as well, guys? With our other sponsor here, the Bet Parks app, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, Renee and Tyler will tell you I'm not much of a gambler, but with this app right now, guys, I might dabble into a little bit.
Ooh.
With the new the Bet Parks Sportsbook apps, guys. We have opening day right now. Obviously, MLS is in full swing. Final Four March Madness this weekend for the men's. We got the women's game going on this weekend. By the way, I'm looking at the LSU Iowa game for sure, guys. And you guys can bet on those games as well. You can check out your favorite lines or who the underdogs are as well. And right now, BetParks has you covered. Win your first $10. Win first with your $10 bet and earn up to $125 in sports bonus bets. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You play for fun and you love to win, so why not? You check the BetParks app. Download the app and play along with the BetParks app. You must be 21 or older. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, you wants help, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right. Shout out to BetParks. We had fun down at BetParks Racing Sportsbook for our opening day festivities. Well, we've been having a lot of fun this weekend because, yes, when you win, things are happier. Things feel better.
Things are much better.
And so as we're looking through and talking about the Philadelphia Union's 2-0 victory over Minnesota, there were definitely some bright spots to take away from that. I know you mentioned Quinn. I am all about taking those chances. I've been saying that from day one. I will continue to say that. You cannot try to play perfect. You cannot try to play safe. Take those risks. And now his confidence is growing. We see him trying things. Yes, I'd like some of his crosses or even decision-making to be better. But I also love the fact that he has the green light to go.
Yeah.
And because of that, I feel like we're getting more guys that are doing that. Like, that's contagious. When you have somebody out there, he's all into it. He's bringing the energy, the intensity. It's something that other guys are feeding off of.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the benefits of the game against Portland and, being able to get that win, how it's just, translated into this past Saturday's game, more guys are playing with that edge. More guys are playing with, just the freedom. And we talked about that, like just playing, having fun. It doesn't seem like they're overthinking or anything. They're not just going through the motions. They're moving quicker. They're being more proactive, not reactive. And because of that, Saturday's game, and of course, it started last week. I know Jim was saying, like, I just can't get over the Portland game. It was my favorite game. I'm like, but I understand why. That was like the light switch turned on moment where this team finally could see their potential. And not to mention, not only do you see your potential, but you can see that with this depth, there is more depth than we may know.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot here, and everybody has. The Union didn't do enough. They need more depth. They need more this. They need more that. And yes, they still can use more. I will never say you can never have enough depth. But honestly, the last two games have shown there's more competition for some major minutes and starting roles, and nobody's position is safe, which requires them to have to step up and play. You can't go through the motions if you know there's a guy behind you competing for your job. So I think that was one of the, not even just the result, but the overall like performance, putting the game away, holding on to the clean sheet, playing from start to finish, the edge. Like there never was that drop off where they were just going through the motions.
No, they definitely looked like, for the majority of the match, they definitely looked like the better team. One point, before we move off from Quinn, I want to bring up one more point. Listen, it is worth noting. Obviously, the Kevin Sullivan news.
I was thinking about that too.
We're all buzzing about it. Like, we're Union fans. Like, this is really cool to see. Quinn is an amazing brother, and you know, he's got to be happy for what is happening to his brother. But also, too, he is a competitor. And, like, there has to be a little bit of him being like, well, all right, well, if he's getting all this stuff from Manchester City and all this stuff, well, you know what? I have to prove myself, too. So let me go out here and let me show who Quinn Sullivan, not Caven, who Quinn Sullivan is. And I think that with all this buzz around his brother, it is only improving his game. And this is why you're seeing this guy playing in the way that he is with this confidence right now, because he's hungry. When they talk about a Sullivan, he wants to be mentioned here as well. And so I think that is something that's worth noting when you're talking about Quinn and his performance as
he wants to be Quinn Sullivan, Caven's big brother, not Caven Sullivan, younger brother of, you know, he wants people to know who got there first. And also, as somebody with siblings that also played a sport, it's to show I'm the one that showed him that. Like, he learned from me. He's good because of me, because I'm also very good. And we have a talented family, and it's not just him. He's not just the golden child, although he definitely is. But there's a lot of talent in this household. So I do feel like it's raising the pressure, because he doesn't want to just be an after mention. Like, there have been some pieces that have said, like, oh yeah, you know, Kevin also has a brother that plays for Philadelphia Union. No. We want to be lumped in. You want it to be, when you think of like the biggest sports siblings and how you talk about them, it's Venus and Serena, you know? It's Eli and Peyton. It's not like...
It's Brennan and Paxton.
It's Brennan and Paxton. It's Kevin and Quinn. You know, you want to make sure people respect and know both of you, and you're not just the afterthought. So I agree with you on that. I do feel like it's put the pressure on, but probably in a very good way.
For sure.
Of like, there's more people, there's more eyes, there's more attention on me and my family, and I want to make sure to show myself in a way that's going to make them proud and showcase what the Sullivans are all about. It's like, here's what the Union are all about, here's what the Homegrowns are all about, but also here's what the Sullivans are all about.
Now, it would be pretty cool if both of them could be on the same team at once.
I'd be fine with that.
That would be really cool.
Let me clarify, because we gotta, when we say things, sometimes it happens, but we didn't be specific enough. I'd be fine with that with the Union.
Yes. At some point here in the next 2 years.
Yes, there it is.
We can see them together with the senior team. I mean,
the Philadelphia Union, playing for the Philadelphia Union, not against the Philadelphia Union. I'm just trying to make sure to put all the disclaimers out there.
Now, we do need to watch a little more Union too, right? But I do hope that he will possibly get the chance to maybe at least come off the bench at some point here. And oh, by the way, I think he's down with the Adidas Cup down in Florida. But I did see a picture where my man was wearing Prada Adidas boots. Okay, that's how we stepping, Caven.
Stepping now on some Prada. I wonder what that feels like. What's it feel like to walk on Prada?
Prada cleats, not just like the sneakers. These are the cleats. Like, okay.
And I don't know that life, but I respect it. It's just showing, hey, the price tag has gone up.
He's got confidence. For a young kid like that, for a teenager like that, he's got some confidence.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. And, you know, it is, as you talk about the way that it's contagious, the way that it's growing, first of all, make sure you guys are continuing to hit that thumbs up button. Let's keep this conversation going as we're talking about the Philadelphia Union. Join us. Let us know your thoughts. I will also say, you know, it's great that we can but consistently be able to talk about multiple bright spots. It's not just one guy that's playing well and everybody else is struggling. You know, you look at this past weekend, it was a game start to finish. You saw a lot of good plays, a lot of good highlights you can take away from it. Julian Carranza, we got to talk about him because it's fantastic that through all competitions, he now has 5 goals. It's fantastic. I know the MLS was talking about him on one of their, one of the league-wide broadcasts about how he's someone that is, you know, a big game changer for the Union and how much they need him. And of course, they also reminded, as we all know, what we have in the back of our mind is the fact that with every goal he scores, with every great play he makes, there are some people watching. Like, okay, cha-ching, cha-ching. It's like the cash register where you just keep adding to it, and the price is going up. Cha-ching, cha-ching, ringing up some more. Another goal, cha-ching, cha-ching. Another assist, cha-ching, cha-ching. This summer is going to be tough.
Yep.
You know, I'm trying to bask in the excitement of right now, but I'm also realistic and knowing that there are going to be some incredible offers out for Julian Carranza because he's playing so well, so consistent, scoring goals. This is everything you want from a striker. It's not just about making good runs, too. It's about also finishing. Your job is to score goals. Your job is to help your team win games. And he's doing that. And he's stepping up in big moments. I mean, the game against Portland, I don't know that they win without Julian. He is the game changer. We've seen what they look like with him and without him. And that being said, for the Philadelphia Union, there's going to be offers, and you don't want to be without him. So you have to be ready to pay to keep him. And that makes me nervous. Again, try not to look too far ahead, but the summer will be here before we know it. It is April Fool's. I wish this was an April Fool's joke. But the reality is, Julian Carranza's future with the Union, it could be like he's loving the fact that he's scoring and they're winning and he wants to stay. But it also could be, this is me putting out my highlight reel and showing people why I need to get paid so I can get up out of here. So I'm going to hope it's more of like number one. And he's going to be like, I love it here with the Union. Although, as we know, he doesn't love much about the city. He loves DC and New York. But that's okay because you have to be with the Union to be closer to DC and New York.
Hey, now.
I'm hoping that Julian Carranza is happy. He's scoring. The team continues winning. But then the team also continues investing in him to pay to make sure he can stay here. Because without Julian Carranza, we're not having these exciting conversations right now. He is the engine behind the team, for sure. And they need to find a way to make sure to keep him.
That's extremely valid. That is extremely valid. I listen, we're all still talking about the cave-in sell. Manchester, waiting for the final word from both sides. But this Julian Carranza thing is definitely looming here because the more he scores goals, yes, more teams are going to start looking at it. There was already teams like Olympiacos, I think Lazio were in the mix as well that were trying to get him before this year, even last year. So this is definitely something you got to keep an eye out for because as you can clearly tell, when he's in that lineup, goals are going to be scored. And when he's not in there, you can clearly tell that. So when he's gone, like, where's this goal scoring going to be coming from? And they're going to need a replacement plan right away. I talk about this all the time. If Julian goes this summer, which ideally that would be when you want for him to get sold, you have to have that backup plan ready to go right away. But it is going to be interesting to see what teams will throw at him. And also, too, you bring up a good point. If a situation fits him as well, Julian, as we met, he's an extremely big family guy, which is awesome to see. It's part of his success as well. But it has to make sense not only football-wise, but also with his family too, for him to go. I'm sure his big dream and his big goal is to play overseas. As much as he loves playing here in Philly, and listen, if it doesn't work this year, I'm sure the Union and Julian will probably try to work something out for him to stay here. But that's the goal for him, is to play in Europe, playing possibly in Champions League or Europa League. So it has to be a move that makes sense not only for the Union, but for Julian. But my man is playing himself into a nice deal in Europe.
He is.
For sure.
He really is. He really is. And yes, my bad, because they don't keep stats in all the same spot. It is 7 goals, not 5. Because we're still not at a point in soccer where they keep all the stats.
Come on.
No, that's one of my biggest pet peeves.
Jeez
I shouldn't have to
Louise.
go look at the MLS stats and the CONCACAF stats and do all this math, and
It's ridiculous.
it should be in just one spot. So yes, my bad. Thank you, Jose. I know you're always on it. You always got that. You always got the numbers. Ivan, you're also mentioning it's definitely going to be sad to see Julian go. Hopefully the Union can keep him. I would hope so. I mean, Dan, I agree with you. Time to work on that striker pipeline past Julian. That is why I'm at least encouraged when I see, Chris Donovan playing well. We've talked about Marcus Anderson many times.
Oh, yeah.
Quinn Sullivan playing well, because you do also want to build around
Baribo's still around, right?
What's that?
Ty Baribo's still around, right?
Who? Hey, what? Ty? Can we get some Ty? I don't know. You want to build around him because you don't know. If you have all your eggs in his basket, there's a nice Easter pun for you guys.
Hey.
What happens when that basket goes walking out the door for a better offer? You need to make sure you're prepared. So I would love for, over the next months, since it is now April 1st, to continue to build up confidence, reps, opportunities for other guys, get guys minutes, somebody like Raffanello, who we saw play well.
Oh, yeah.
Get these other guys going, get them some minutes, because, God forbid you do lose Julian Carranza and his production. You got to be able to now fill that void and have somebody else step up.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you bring up Raffanello. I would love to see some more from him, but, it's tough when Gazdag scores a goal. And I want to bring up this real quick because I thought Gazdag played well on Saturday, but I want to show some love to our boy Jimmy King over at PSN. So he's been keeping a track at the all-time goal scoring here for the U. And crazy to think about, Renee, but our boy Gazdag is only 2 goals away from Sebastian.
Yep.
Sebastian's got 56. Gazdag's got 54. He obviously can easily do that by summertime.
Mm-hmm.
So like I know we kill Gazdag, and right now, this attack that we have, Gazdag and Carranza is the most prolific that we've had in Union history. Carranza probably the most prolific goal scorer we've ever had in Union history. But Gazdag, man, it is hard because I know a lot of people see all the goals he scored, and we all love that. But there are times where it gets frustrating when he does disappear, or when he's only scoring goals from that PK spot. But that is definitely something to pat your back at if you're Daniel Gazdag, to be able to score 54 goals. I know our history here with the U is not very lengthy, but still pretty impressive to be a leading goal scorer at any club around the
Oh
world.
gosh,
So
yeah.
we'll keep a track. Well, I'm sure Jimmy will as well, but we'll keep a track of that because that's definitely pretty big.
Yeah. I mean, as you look at some exciting things, some numbers, I know the Union were sharing some stats and nuggets of information. So with this game on Saturday, it was Daniel Gazdag's 43rd Union career goal, third of the regular season. And for Kai Wagner, it was his 42nd career assist with the Union. And with that, also the Union are the only team across the MLS to score in 5 of their opening 6 matches
There we
of the
go.
season. So,
How
I mean,
about
again,
that?
we sometimes, I feel like we're so close, we might take it for granted, but there has not been another team that's been able to score a goal in 5 of their opening 6 matches like the Union have been able to do. So the production has been something we've asked more of, getting more goals, because defense has been the backbone of this team. And that's one way to deliver. Let's just hope it continues after this, first 6 matches of MLS play, that the Union can continue to get that same production.
They never make it easy on us. Oh my God.
So
But they get it done, but they never make it easy. Not at all.
Yes, and I know, Ivan, you're mentioning your girlfriend might stop watching the Union games if the team loses Carranza, because she watches for the eye candy. Yeah, whatever makes you want to watch, I guess.
We did that clip last year
Yes.
at the playoff game where I asked everyone who Taylor Swift would date. A lot of people were saying Julian Carranza because of his handsome looks, which we obviously understand. We understand Ivan very well.
He's a very handsome guy. He's very handsome. And Dan's also
Ooh,
mentioning.
that's a good question. That one's good.
Well, Dan's asking, is Daniel Gazdag? Dan is asking about Danny. Okay. Is he a oh my gosh, wow, words. Is Daniel Gazdag a Mount Rushmore player for the club? A bigger question for down the road. And we'll get to that question right after this quick break. But first, let's tell you about our sponsors over at Coors Light. JP?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about our friends over at Coors Light. Guys, did you see the weekend we just had? Obviously, I know the Phillies have a great start, but we got a win on Sunday on Easter.
Oof.
The Union had a big win in the afternoon. Flyers are pushing for the playoffs. Sixers may get Embiid back. They broke records last night. So with all these Philly sports events going on, we all just need to sit back, relax, and just chill a little bit. And the best way to do that is with our friends over at Coors Light. It is my favorite because it is light and refreshing. And when we're relaxing, trying to relax, I should say, watching these Philly sports teams, there's nothing better than with Coors Light, guys. So right now, Coors Light makes it super easy for us to attain a 6-pack, a 12-pack, whatever it may be for your watching pleasures. You can get it online. Guys, get it delivered right to your house. You don't have to go to the store. You can deliver it right to your house. All you got to do is head on over to CoorsLight.com/PHLY Again, that's CoorsLight.com/PHLY You can get it delivered straight to your home. I'm going to get it done this weekend. Obviously, the U will be in Nashville. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I'm going to have my Coors Light, my U, and my couch. What else is better? Coors Light, ladies and gentlemen. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Well, I'll tell you what else is better, or just as good, I should say, and that's also being able to save money. It's great to drink a refreshing drink, but it's also great to make sure you're being financially responsible. We love both of these things. And with TrueMark Financial Credit Union, you can do just that. Now, TrueMark has the opportunity. They're right here in Philly. They also are very great because they provide great rates, low fees. They got a better return on savings. They've got more flexible options overall. And they also have some digital tools that you can take advantage of with the technology at your fingertips to be able to tap into your TrueMark financial picture. They are headquartered in Fort Washington with 24 branches across the Philly area alone, deeply rooted right here in our backyard in our city and serving our city and our community. So their investments and programs really help people, especially right here in Philly. So become a member of a credit union that has a lot of benefits and allows you to have a chance to really take care of your finances. TrueMark Financial Credit, the spot that when you join and become a part owner, it means you get profits back to you. It means more savings, not going to stakeholders. You're going to be getting that profit yourself. So head over to TrueMark.com/PHLY to learn more or find a branch near you. Again, that's TrueMark.com/PHLY, federally insured by the NCUA. All right, so we've had a chance to talk through some of the highlights of this past weekend. I know Dan is putting out a great question around Daniel Gazdag. Also, what's up? Want to give a hello who just joined us in the chat. That's Sticks24. Nice to have you here as well. You are asking about Daniel Gazdag on Mount Rushmore. I don't know. Numbers wise, yes, he's definitely there. I think it also depends on I always love to talk about what's the criteria for things, because are you just doing your Mount Rushmore of top scorers? Big impact is scoring, don't get me wrong. But someone like Andre Blake's clearly not scoring goals. So it's, like what's on your Mount Rushmore? As of right now,
hard for you to put him on there.
I don't know in a few years, but right now, no.
For me, there's three big things, right? It's the impact on the field, it's the popularity from the fan base, and it's the stats that they put up. Now, if you're talking about, obviously he's got the stats. He has been impactful for most of his Union tenure here. The fan reaction, though, has been kind of split, maybe 60-40. It has been tough. Yeah. Any Mount Rushmore you're doing for the U, there's no doubt you start with Latu. Like Latu, honestly, Latu, Blake, and Bedoya. Like those are my three staples. So that leaves this fourth one up in the air.
That's what Dan's saying, the same thing.
Yeah, that's easy. That fourth one is tough. Honestly, Renee, I'm gonna have to go Carranza over Gazdag, only because, like I just said, like Carranza's been the most prolific goal scorer in Union history. We really have never had that. Like, we've never had a prolific goal scorer like Carranza. And Carranza's put up some big numbers, and obviously the fan base loves him. It's tough, but I'm going Carranza over Gazdag, and it's by a slim margin.
Yeah, there's been... Yeah, I think for the Union specifically, first of all, it's not a long history you're looking at.
Yeah.
You're looking at just, 15 seasons ago. So there's not a lot of history there. So that in itself makes the list a little bit shorter. I do think it's going to longevity is a big part of this.
That's a good point,
because if you are someone that's only played a few seasons versus a little bit longer, your stats definitely are important. That's a big part of it. Your impact is the production for your respective position. But I do feel like if Daniel Gazdag can continue the scoring in the run of play in big moments, yeah, I think so. But I do think it's hard right now for me to easily say yes, affirmatively compared to somebody. Julian Carranza is a great example, just because of the consistency. We need to see him more on the field, moving a lot more, finding the ball, getting more involved, not disappearing. His whenever he's out there on the pitch, you should know it. And there's been stretches, unfortunately, where I feel like I'm like, where is Daniel Gazdag?
Wow.
So I would love to see him be on that Mount Rushmore without hesitancy, because that means he's elevating his game to a point where he is being, whether it's as a midi or in, I know we saw him at the forward spot in the 4-4-2 this weekend, wherever he's at, he's someone that opponents have to be keeping an eye on, double teaming, pressuring. He's someone that the Union are playing through. And that to me would solidify him on that Mount Rushmore spot. Tyler, I don't know if you want to jump in actually on this thought.
Dan's comment right here. You're gonna love this.
I hate this comment, and not like it's like Bobby Abreu. I think gets irrationally hated in this city. You're right, because it's such a small sample size, and for a bulk of it, if we're being honest with ourselves, for a bulk of it, it's not great soccer. Like the run of play for a bulk of this franchise has been subpar. It's probably, it has to come from somebody on this block of, and are you talking more about like how great the player is and where they got to in their career? Because then you're thinking more along the lines of a Brendan Aronson or a Mark McKenzie, or are you talking about specifically for this team, which then there's no longevity there? You probably are leaning towards a player like Gazdag. Are you thinking about maybe a Glesnes? How much do stats weigh versus like impact on the field? There's a lot to consider, and I think the fourth one is the first three are easy.
Yeah.
I think the first
Definitely.
3 are locks already. The fourth one is the hardest one.
That's kind of where we're all at is where do you go? Because obviously, like I'm with Tyler. Like that fourth person has to be from this current
Yeah.
iteration. These past 3 years that you've had a lot of success.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I go constantly from the goal scoring, and just because we've never had that in Union history,
Yeah.
but that longevity part is tough because we really haven't had that.
It is. And you look at who's been a staple of this club, Jacob Glesnes, Jack Elliott, Kai Wagner, without the comments last year, might be actually a shoe-in to also be
That is
included.
a good point.
I feel like because of his we're still kind of adoring him and appreciative of him in a different way. Like we're looking at him through a different lens. But I feel like in the next 5 years, we should have a better answer of who's on that list. If a Quinn Sullivan continues, if a Julian Carranza stays and continues, then you might have a better idea of who truly is on that Mount Rushmore. But it's a really good comment you bring up, Dan. It's something to absolutely think about. And it should be an easier answer.
Yeah.
Like I would love for us to be at a spot where it's the opposite and we have about 6, 7 guys and it's like, gosh, it's hard to just choose. It's hard to figure out who's the top 4 versus it being like, wait a minute, who really is the top 4? But I do feel like now, and actually this is ironically what the MLS was talking about with their whip around show. They were the ones that said 5 goals, by the way. I just realized where I got that from. But the whip, not to throw them under the bus. But with the whip around show, they were mentioning, though, in all seriousness, it's been, as we probably get flagged now by the internet, it's been Andre Blake is the face of this team. And they've been looking for someone to be the face. Julian Carranza has been emerging consistently to be that guy, the one that you're excited about. And I know even Ivan's mentioning his girlfriend watching. He is someone that gets fans to want to watch, whether it's because of his looks or his talent or a little bit of both. Daniel Gazdag should be that guy too. He should be the one that you see a lot of guys, players and kids rocking his jersey and wanting to be like Daniel Gazdag. And you need that to be a top club. You should have those faces of the team, which means that's your consistent talent to,
Yeah, I don't know exactly what it was. I mean, listen, he played much better on Saturday. He was just more present. That's just really what it's been. Like when like Gazdag is bad, like you just don't even see him. Like he's literally, I know we all made the joke when Kasper Shabilko was here, the Kasper the friendly ghost, but like that's kind of what Gazdag is sometimes when he does disappear there. But like I look at like 22, Renee, like I saw a number 10 who was just fearless, and he brought cojones like every single match that he played. Like he was taking shots from outside the box. He was getting in the traffic there. Like he was doing every little thing that we possibly could, especially on the transition breaks. Like that's when the Union, especially Gazdag, was so dangerous because he obviously has that speed as that number 10 too. But no, I mean, we still have a lot of season left to go, and I don't know if it's just maybe a little fatigue from the offseason. Who knows? But Gazdag, we know it's there, and you just got to see it erupt, man. Especially with Ua and Carranza, it's gonna come, guys. It's gonna come.
As you were saying that, it was actually making me nervous because a lot of what you were saying was very reminiscent of what we've been mentioning around Quinn Sullivan. And I'm not saying Quinn Sullivan's start to 2024 is nearly as prolific as what we saw from Daniel Gazdag in 2022 in terms of goals. But the fearlessness, the aggression, the way he was playing then actually does remind me a lot of what we've been getting from Quinn, which is why Quinn's been such a difference maker. So I do feel as though with the amount of games that the Union played last year and some burnout and maybe even some mental pressure, like I wouldn't be surprised if some of Daniel Gazdag's issues are mental. Of him overthinking things, psyching himself out. Once you have such a breakout season like that, it is hard to replicate that. It's hard to duplicate that and do it again. And I do feel like maybe if he can just get back with Julian Carranza playing well, with Quinn Sullivan playing well, with Jack being steady, Nate and Kaya getting up the flanks, if the rest of the team can continue to play well, it takes the pressure off of him. He doesn't feel like he has to be that guy. But him only being able to score, at a stretch for penalty kicks, he hears that narrative too. So I do feel like hopefully this is that turning point even for him as we're talking about finding their identity as a team, that maybe he can find his identity individually and get back to just being that guy. We don't need you to make or break and win games and put the team on your back and win the MLS Cup for us. Just be you, and the rest of the guys will do their part too. It's not all on Daniel Gazdag. They've got a really talented team. Now, we even saw that. I know Andre Blake, as we mentioned, goes down, but all the way through. Oliver Zenla steps in, next player up mentality. Nate playing well, seeing through the midfield. Jose, Ali Bedoya off the bench. We've been seeing the production. We've been seeing the depth that they've been developing. Shout out to Jim Curtin and his staff, especially. I know he mentioned he gave a good shout out to his assistants for helping to push him to put Ali Bedoya in. But keeping these guys fresh, keeping them hungry, keeping them motivated, that's very important. And with that now, the Union, with their 2 wins on the season, back-to-back MLS wins, it's exciting because there's a little bit of a slower part of the season now. 1 game per week now. Of course, Nashville's up next, which we'll have a preview on later this week. And you can now just truly focus on one game at a time instead of mentally and physically being all over the place. But as we get ready to wrap up, there have been some very interesting things going on around the league. Let's talk to the standings, though, because I know we now have a nice picture of what the MLS standings are. Now that everybody's played 5 or 6 games, we have a better idea of where teams stand. And sitting in the East at the top spot, FC Cincinnati. They did actually have a draw this past weekend. They got those 3-3, 3 wins, 3 ties on the season.
So it's us, Cincy, and I believe the Galaxy are
the LA Galaxy are the other undefeated,
unbeaten teams.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look at
and
that.
Inter Miami, who's kind of hit a little bit of a roadblock, dealing with some injuries themselves. Of course, they're still juggling playing, international games in the midst of it. But they're still top. I like how competitive. This is the Eastern Conference gauntlet. You've got FC Cincinnati at 12 points, and then all these, trio of teams tied with 11. Right behind them, a big grouping of teams at 9 and 10. This is the Eastern Conference. The MLS in general is very Eastern Conference heavy, where you look across this group. Atlanta United, that's a great example. Who would have expected them to have such a strong start to the season? There are a lot of teams, and there's no easy way to predict who's going to be in that top spot, who's going to be, the favorite game in and game out. And the weekend's results were another example of that, where we saw draws, ties, whatever result it was, that may have caught some people by surprise. But I think one of the sleepers is Atlanta and even DC United right now. I know I expected DC United team to rebuild, but yet there they are, sitting tied with the Union currently in standings.
And the biggest surprise, Renee, well, it's still very early, don't want to overreact, but Orlando City in 13th right now with 6 points. Like, no one expected that. We all thought Duncan McGuire is going to come out with the revenge tour. Luis Muriel going to score like he's with Colombia. And yeah, they're just flat right now. I don't know. And then I think I forget who they just played, but no, it's
I thought they just.
I forget it wasn't. I thought it was it was they drew against the Red Bull.
Yes, I know they had a tie.
No, they did not start off the way they probably wanted to, but that to me is one of the bigger surprise. And obviously we'll see Nashville, but they are currently in 11th right now. But no, it's still early. And for the U, they are in a really good spot because obviously unbeaten, but as we get closer to Leagues Cup, that's going to be the next big tournament to kind of keep an eye out for. You want to put yourself in that right spot before that break goes in full effect. But no, guys, feel good about this team. We're essentially realistically tied for 3rd or 4th, because obviously you're tied with Atlanta and DC with 9 points.
Right.
There's one team with 10, and then there's 3 teams with 11 points. So listen, one bad month can really put you in a weird spot here, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. And I like that the Union are finally taking care of business to win 2-0. And honestly, you can say, yes, Minnesota had the offsides goal that gets called back. They had chances, but the Union did too. It could have been 3-0. You look at that late play, Chris Donovan sent across. I think it was Jack who missed it, Jack McGlynn. They had chances though. And so it's great to see they didn't let down. They didn't give up a goal and make things interesting or chaotic. And that's been a difference across the league. Atlanta beats Chicago 3-0, convincing victory, puts them away. You look at DC United, as I mentioned, been a surpriser, but they knock off Montreal 1-0. Other results, I mentioned Inter Miami. Keep an eye on Inter Miami because I know we all are on the Messi train, but they've had so many injuries, and this is where the age, the international games, the chaos of the schedule really can come into play. They did get a tie this weekend, though. They tied NYCFC.
They're going to find out quick when you don't have depth what happens in this league.
Yes, exactly. Very, very, very quickly, because you can only go so far. But they tied your guy, Matt, up in NYC. But yeah, overall, them even a team like Charlotte. For Charlotte, they tied FC Cincinnati this past weekend. That was something I thought was a little bit of a surprise. There's a lot of underdog teams you cannot sleep on because those middle of the pack groups, the Charlottes, the DC Uniteds, they're out with something to prove. For sure. Over on the West, it's not LAFC's conference as much anymore. It's not just their conference anymore, I should say. LA Galaxy coming in hot because they get that 1-0 win over Seattle. And listen, I've seen them play actually a couple times now, and the Galaxy they're out to prove something. They're out to show that this is, first of all, we always love the LAFC, LA Galaxy battles, but I feel like it's bigger than that this year.
So Tommy Bogues actually did drop a Tommy bomb in the middle of us recording.
Is this April Fool's?
I hope not.
Because I got a few times now with some April Fool's fake news.
So obviously with today, you always got to put the disclaimer. It is April Fool's, but this one does look legit because I do know this source in Pipe Sierra in Colombia. But LA Galaxy are finalizing a deal to bring Carlos Garces on loan from Deportivo Pereira, which is a solid a club in Colombia that just develops young pieces and they sell them off. They don't want to win. They just want to sell players. So Garces, and that could be a solid piece to add into for Galaxy's backline. I do know they brought in a veteran guy over from Europe in the offseason, which I'm blanking on his name right now, but that was a Tommy Bogues bomb in the middle of us recording as they get themselves Garces from Deportivo Pereira. I'm looking up right now the other center back, but listen, it's a solid team that they got going on right now in LA with the Galaxy. And the past couple of years it has been it's been an LAFC team, but they put themselves together a really solid team, and they're definitely going to compete here with LAFC this year for sure.
Hey, listen, when you have Gabriel Peck, who, of course, is one of the guys with our Jack Elliott on the MLS team for the week, you bring in Yoshida. That actually seems like it's a real. It's not an April Fool's thing. I don't think. I don't know though. I don't know. People go pretty far with April Fool's.
That's how I felt with the B news. I was like, wait, is this April Fool's?
Yeah, I've heard some things today that are definitely clearly April Fool's, and people need to get off Twitter with their April Fool's jokes. But to see, you got Dejan Joveljic, who I know we talked about, and a lot of talent across this LA Galaxy roster. Team to watch for sure. Now, for some people, they've been struggling. Portland, that's now 3 straight losses for them. They lost to Vancouver 3-2 this past week. We already know from our preview of the matchup a couple weeks ago going into it, Portland is dealing with some issues of their own. And so 3 straight losses, never a good thing, but it is still early in the season. And it's such a competitive grouping that's, as we keep harping on, when you're down bad, you can be down bad in the MLS because people can just continue to pow, kick you when you're down. And I think Portland right now is a little bit down. So we'll keep, watching around the league. There's been some sleepers I know I've been keeping an eye on. Obviously, Nashville is the next team to keep an eye on because that's who the Union will play this upcoming weekend. They're coming off a 2-2 tie against the defending champs, the Columbus Crew. We'll be talking through about Hani Mukhtar and the Nashville, that matchup down in Geodis Park. We'll have a great chance to preview that matchup later this week. So for us here at PHOI Union, before we go, JP, are you good? I'm going to make sure you got all your nuggets out before we wrap up the show. Tyler, JP, I want to assume.
I got all the nuggets out there. Listen, it's been a fun 2 weeks, and we move forward here to Nashville. It's never easy playing in Geodis Park. It's a
beautiful stadium.
It is beautiful. It's also one of the hardest stadiums to play in, but we found ourselves some success down there. And oh, by the way, will we get round 2 of Shaq Moore versus Julian Carranza? You find out and see.
That might be one of the most exciting parts about this matchup. It's become
Did you just cut a promo?
I'm actually calling the fight.
WWE.
That was such a promo. Stay tuned. Coming up this weekend. It's all going down.
$59.99 pay-per-view only.
I'd pay for that.
Great. That's so great. But this is a growing rivalry that's happening here. I guess we can call it that. I mean, when you have consistent fights and brawls and things and cards flying out the wazoo.
Some playoff matches. They both play very similarly as well on the pitch. So I can see that brewing slowly here between Philly and Nashville, but we'll see. It's going to be fun on Saturday.
It will be. It will be a fun one. So our preview show, we'll be doing a preview video for you guys, I should say. That'll be dropping later on this week.
Stay
we'll have
tuned.
a chance to connect with one of Nashville's own beat reporters that covers the team. They'd be able to give you guys a full in-depth preview of that one. And for us, though, this is our we're down to one live show a week. So it's great that we get a chance to talk through things, and then we'll be circling back. Like, I feel like each week we're seeing the team make progress. We're being able, as we're following along on their journey, to be able to watch how this team is progressing as the season goes. I know, Julian, you're mentioning in the chat, let us not forget, Mikel Ua also scored the first ever goal in Geodis. Let us not forget. There's a great point.
Right.
So it's basically the Union's home is what I get from that. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Sticks24, Dan, Jose, Ivan, Julian, Barbara, Renee, Philly Insider. We appreciate every single one of you guys. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button. Stay tuned for more content coming your way soon for us here at PHOI Union Podcast. Another victory show in the books. We'll see you guys soon. Have a good one.
Dude.
We all silly like the mayor.